Let's talk about technical analysis now, the other camp of investing. If you think about fundamentals, we were talking about the business model and what's the future look like and how are things kind of organized around that. Technical analysis is really looking at more specific patterns and charts and things. And let's dive into that other type of camp. It's okay to use them together, by the way, though. They are really two distinct camps. I think it's fine to use them both together. But more on that in a moment. Let's talk about technical analysis and what it is. So technical analysis, also known as, you may have heard it called as charting, because technical analysis, you're using a lot of charts to evaluate things. You're kind of using different ways of looking at these patterns and repeatable patterns using these charts. It's used in stock investing. It's used in certainly in stock market investing. So it could be used in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin type investing, and really a type of thing where you're measuring price and you're measuring performance. And what you're doing is you're looking for repeatable patterns. You're looking for repeatable patterns, and you're looking to see if this pattern happens, like it's rising or it's falling or whatever, and then I can predict, just hopefully with some accuracy, what's going to happen next based on the pattern and some well-established patterns. It doesn't always work out that way. In fact, that's the thing with technical analysis. It's never 100%. Nothing is 100%, but the idea is that these technical patterns have happened over and over again, and we can learn from them and maybe take action based on them is the idea of technical analysis. If you're talking to somebody who's a true technical analysis person, one thing they'll say is, hey, these fundamentals don't matter. That whole business about understanding the business and all that and what they're trying to do and supply and demand and all that stuff, forget it. Forget it. Nothing matters but the chart. It's just the chart that matters. And especially like somebody's, let's say, a day trader, where you're frequently trading throughout the day or whatever, you're not looking at long-term growth or anything like that. You're looking at individual small moves up and down, and you're trading in that and trying to make those money on the margins of that and making margins on those frequent trades for a day trader. But anybody can use technical analysis even for long-term holding, and I think fundamentals do matter, but they both can be used together. So technical analysis is really all about the herd mentality. First, to understand the basis of what's going on here, is understanding a herd mentality. Here's a definition of herds, of the definition of herd. You can see some sheep here. And the definition is a number of animals kept, feeding, or key part here, traveling together. A herd of cattle, a herd of sheep. And I think the idea that I highlighted here was this herd is traveling together. Think about like the market, and the market is made up of individuals and institutions are made up of individuals, you and I, who are making investments. Some investing more than others, but either way it's individuals. And we're traveling together along this market. We're in this market, we're in this herd, and we're traveling together. Another definition for herd is common people, the masses, the rabble. Well, that doesn't sound so nice. He had no opinions of his own, but simply followed the herd. And that's the idea behind technical analysis is, sure, there's individual people or individual opinions, but really you're following the herd. And if you can figure out where the herd's going to go next, well, then you can make an investment decision behind it. So yeah, a lot of icky definition, right? We're human beings. We're not part of a herd. We're not sheep. But the idea is that markets and things will tend to move in certain directions. Let's look at the sheep picture a little bit closer to get an understanding of how markets move, actually. And you might have heard the term momentum investing, right? It's like Einstein's theory of relativity or the theory of motion. Things that are in motion tend to stay in motion. I might have got the relativity wrong. But the idea you might have heard, from grade school science is things that are in motion tend to stay in motion. You roll a rock down a hill, the rock will tend to roll down to the bottom of the hill. It won't just automatically stop. It's in motion, it tends to stay in motion. Markets that are in motion, in stock or cryptocurrency, any type of markets that are in motion, will tend to continue in that direction and that motion. Like these sheep here. The sheep are looks like on a road here, and the sheep are in a herd, and they're all traveling together, and they're going down the hill, looks like down this road. And you can see that the sheep are traveling as a herd. So if I was a technical analysis person, I might look at this and say, I bet the sheep are going to keep going down that road. Just look at all those sheep. It looks like they're probably going down that road. How I would look at that investment is I'm looking at a chart, and we're going to look at some sample charts and how to analyze them in a moment here in the next couple lessons. But I'm looking at my chart and I'm basically substituting prices of, let's say, a stock or cryptocurrency, whatever, and I'm following that sheep down the road. So that's the idea of the herd mentality. Last thing, too, with this sheep picture, as you look at the sheep picture, do you see anything that's different? You see some sheep headed down the road. You might see the hill with some scruffy dirt or whatever on it, but that doesn't look too appealing. But do you see some sheep that might not be following the herd? If you look closely, you probably do on the left where there's looks like some nice green grass. If I was a sheep, I suppose I'd want to go and hang out in that grass. And as you can see, there are some sheep that are going over there. So when markets move, they don't move exactly 1% together. You got people who are buying and selling all the time. And you got some people, sheep, I guess, going to the hill. Maybe going in a different direction is the key, a different direction. And in technical analysis, we would call that a breakout, right? You might be trading in a certain pattern, stocks going up, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes way down. Or you're trading and all of a sudden it goes way up, right? Things go way up or way down. Or the pattern changes. That's a breakout. So in the sheep picture here, if we were looking at this as a chart, we'd say, is there enough sheep on the hill to convince the other sheep on the hill or a sheep on the road, hey, you should join us on the hill, and is that a breakout, and is that a change? All right, so enough about sheep. Now let's look at some charts and do some actual understanding of the charts and technical analysis and how this can work for us. For example, a lot of charts are set up like this, a real basic chart where on the left-hand side, on the horizontal, on the vertical axis on the left-hand side, you'd have price, right? Price going up and down. And then on the horizontal, you'd have time, time periods, day 1, day 2, day 3, month 30, month 60, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's time going this way. Pricing changes up here. So as you can see on this sample chart, you doesn't even have to worry about the exact numbers, but just to get an idea of the chart, you can see highlighted here 1M. This is a 1-month chart. And you can see that the prices on this have risen over time up to that first little bar at the top I have there. And then they started falling over that next period of time to where that next bottom line was, at the top and the bottom. There's actually support and resistance. We're going to get into that and why those are important. And then it goes back up. So you can see over time how the prices fluctuate. You've probably seen this before. And the idea of charting and technical analysis is understanding the chart and what it might tell you next. If we were one last thing on this particular chart before we get into some more detail in the next lessons, you see where the red circles are, and you can see the starting and end point in this 1-month time frame are about the same. The prices went up, and then they went down, and then they came back. You can see they're about the same. They're trading in that trading range. So, but they don't have to. They could go way up or they could go way down. So this is a sample chart. Now let's really get into this in more detail and really understanding charts and technical analysis in the next lessons.